Adam Noble-Forcey here for Seconds Out, joined with Adam Smith. How are you, Adam?
I'm okay, Adam. I'm okay. I'm still a bit sort of shocked and stunned by what happened tonight, and also I think we're all fairly exhausted after a huge month of boxing, so I think we all need a little dust to settle and a little sleep over the next few days before we go again. But yeah, look, we've had an amazing February. It's been really good to have the big fights back in the sun on Sky Sports, and tonight was an incredible occasion with Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall, and I just felt the decision was wrong, and I think a lot of other people did, and that leaves a bitter taste because a lot of people thought that we're here for Josh Taylor because we've signed this new Top Rank deal, and I'm absolutely delighted to have Josh back on Sky Sports, and it was a real huge homecoming for him. But we're also independent, and we call a fight as we see it, and unfortunately for Josh, for me, he didn't box well tonight. He was frustrated. I don't know whether it was the weight or the nerves or just the fact that Jack Catterall just boxed a really polished performance, executed terrific game plan from Jamie and Nigel, and thoroughly deserves to be the unified, undisputed world super lightweight champion. And unfortunately, he didn't hear those words, and that's a real shame.
Yeah, real shame. Couldn't agree more. I thought great performance from Jack Catterall. I thought he made it very difficult for Josh in there. Any chance of signing Jack Catterall up to Sky after that tonight? I thought he was brilliant, especially with that crowd as well.
Yeah, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was really poised and calm during the build-up, Jack, and a huge betting underdog, and everybody saying he's not fought at that level. But you know what? He just took it like another fight, and he listened to his corner, and he executed the plan he wanted. He was patient, he was economical, he was accurate. He controlled the first half of the fight, winning 4 or 5 rounds, however you score it. He got the knockdown as well. Yeah, they both lost a point off. There were some messy parts. Josh came back. Josh tried his best, and he was brave and gallant till the end. I just can't see, and I haven't seen anyone outside the Taylor camp that think anything other than a sizable victory, apart from the 3 judges, a sizable victory to Jack Catterall. I mean, by 4 or 5 rounds, people calling it an absolute disgraceful decision, a robbery, all of those sort of words that sometimes get bandied around. But I think when you come off the microphone at ringside, and Matt and Hannah, of course, being a Scottish world champion too, both had it very wide to Jack Catterall, and you come out and you think, okay, we sort of saw it like everyone did, and Barry Jones is saying that's absolutely awful, and Carl Frampton and Spencer Oliver and John, everyone, and I just think, and every journalist I've spoken to, I haven't found one person apart from the 3 judges in the Taylor camp that thought Josh won that fight, and yet Josh was convinced he won it. Look, he was in there, he was brave and gallant, of course, all the way through, and he's a fighter, and he'll have seen it his way. It's not up to us to score it, it's down to the 3 judges. I always sort of temper that at the end of commentary and say you never know how the judges are going to see it, and everyone's sort of passionate one way, but I think everybody agreed that Josh Taylor lost that fight, that Jack Catterall won by a convincing margin. One of the people I respect most in boxing is Jamie Moore. Okay, they both had brilliant trainers, Ben Davison and Jamie Moore, both brilliant trainers, and I respect Jamie a lot. I've known Jamie since he was very young. I saw his whole career through. He was a pundit for us. He's a top trainer now. He's an honest top boy, and he was devastated at the end. And I know that if he thought it was anything but a wide Catterall win, he would have gone over and he would have said, listen, Jack, don't worry, it wasn't your night. Or I think if he was in the other corner, he would have put his hands up and say, you know what, Jack Catterall won that fight. I really felt for him. I really felt for Jack, for Nigel, for the tight-knit team. And I think, you know what, they've been preparing for so long for this moment. And he had so many fans here as well. Probably couldn't be heard, but there were 2,000 tickets. And I just think that, he should be the world champion. And I think it's a real shame. And I just hope it doesn't, he walked out the building. He didn't want to come to the presser. He didn't even want to talk to us.
That's a shame.
He must be devastated.
Yeah. He fought so well.
I'd like to see him and tell him that look, we all thought he won that fight, and let's hope that either he can get a rematch at welterweight, Josh needs to move up and will, or he can get a shot at the vacant title. And I think all the governing bodies and the British board need to look at that, and whether they look at the judges' scorecards or just think, look, Jack Catterall, for whatever reason, didn't get that fight. He has to have a rematch. And Ben was apoplectic at ringside. He said, there's got to be an inquest. I'm embarrassed. And it was that, that shame, robbery, embarrassed, loads of things like that were going on around. That's not a good look for the sport.
That was Ben Shalom you're talking about?
Yeah, Ben was
okay.
on. Ben was with us, and he said that he was embarrassed by it, and he just thought, like everybody else, that Jack Catterall won, and it's nothing against Josh Taylor or his team. Again, it was a wonderful occasion, and Josh put everything into a 12-round fight. For me, he didn't flow. For me, he was outboxed in there, and actually on the night outclassed. And I never thought I would say that with Josh Taylor, because I'm such a massive fan of his.
Yeah.
I think he's proved himself as pound for pound one of the very best, one of the best fighters we've had in many, many years, not just in Scotland but in Britain. And I just think he had a bad night, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he thought he won the fight, and not many other people did.
Yeah. So why does this keep happening? I know you don't know the answer, but you've been in boxing a lot longer than I have. You know a lot more than me. Why does everyone always, not always, but very consistently disagree with the judges? Well,
I think
what's going on?
Ultimately, officials are there.
Scratch your head movement.
But officials are there, and they're trained to look for a certain thing in fights. Like, they're looking for clean punches. They might like a certain style or whatever, and also they're sitting three sides of the ring. I was surprised. I think it was Ian that scored it 3 rounds to Taylor. I might be wrong there, but I think it was 140, 111. He was sitting right in front of us. So he had exactly the same view as everybody who was commentating for BBC, for Sky, or in the studio, and obviously all the fans and journalists around us. But he had our view, and he had it 3 to Josh Taylor. I cannot understand that. And Ian's a great guy, and they're all really good officials. Howard Foster, Victor Loughlin, Ian John Lewis, they're very experienced. So I don't know, and I think that's not one for us, that's one for the board to look at. Robert should be asked, and maybe Robert thought it was closer, or thought maybe he's in agreement. I don't know, because I haven't spoken to him, but I've spoken to everybody else, and a lot of people who are here tonight that I respect their opinions massively. Because sometimes you think, if you get off, you think, oh, did we get this a bit wrong, or if it was close, or 1 or 2 rounds either way. It was universal around ringside, and I believe online and through the journalists as well. Everybody I've spoken to
everyone
thinks Catterall by a long way.
Were you surprised by how good Catterall was tonight?
Yeah, you know what? I've always thought he was really good, Jack, but he's obviously not fought at the level. He hasn't got the resume of a Josh Taylor, and I think probably people just thought it was a big gap for him to climb up to, from the likes of your Tyrone Nurses and your O'Hara Davis. But as Jamie said all the way through, it doesn't mean you can't compete at that level until you know. And sometimes a style just works, and sometimes there's a bogeyman. Mayweather had a real problem with Castillo, and you think Mayweather's much in there. But from our eyes, and as I say, I call the fight. I've got the experts with me that have been in there, Matt and Hannah, and behind me Barry Jones and Spencer and Johnny and Natasha, and everybody. Everybody thought Jack Catterall boxed the fight of his life and won the fight. They can't all be wrong.
Yeah, it's a weird one. 147 for Josh Taylor. What are you thinking?
Yes,
on
I think
Sky. What's your dream fight?
It's absolutely the right thing to do. I was talking to Todd DeBerth last night. I thought he looked very drained on the scales, and I think that probably contributed to the performance, that he was flat tonight. I think that the weight is, he's a real struggle. He's a massive super lightweight. I think it'd be very interesting to see him go up to welterweight. Welterweight's obviously the hot division, and the likes of your Spence Ugas and Crawford and others. I think it's a fantastic
Kell Brook, maybe?
division. Well, Kell Brook was ringside tonight. That's a very interesting fight for Josh. So that's something we'll be looking at. There's lots of options, and Josh needs to move up, and he got away with one tonight, and he won't think that now, but maybe when he looks back at it and when the dust is settled, and he said, I don't care what other people think, and maybe that's the right attitude. He's the one that gets in the ring, we're not. We have respect for the gladiators. We don't do it. We're just call the fights as we see it. They're the ones that are going to do it. I just wish that he'd gone off to Jack at the end and said, you know what, you won that fight. But he didn't think that, and I think it's a shame. Maybe when he looks back at it, he'll think that. Again, nothing again. It's not personal. I adore Josh Taylor. I think he's a fantastic fighter and a wonderful guy. But it's not about that. It's about what's right and wrong, and I think Jack Catterall was wrong tonight.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Let's talk about the atmosphere. Let's talk about something positive.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Wow. Amazing.
Flower of Scotland, pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, really cool. Very, very cool. Is that the plan with Sky and Josh Taylor to keep bringing these big nights to Glasgow, or?
I mean, why wouldn't we want to come back? We've had 3 fantastic atmospheres in Cardiff, Manchester and Glasgow, and I think we got the best at the end. I mean, it was just incredible. It's a wonderful arena here. Everyone's on top of you, and it just was fantastic. And there's something about the Scottish passion, and it's great. And we've loved coming up here so many times with the likes of Alex Arthur and Scott Harrison and Ricky Burns, and now we've got Josh Taylor. So yes, I mean, I know that Top Rank will probably want him to fight in America again. We'll have to talk about what we do. I'd like him to fight this sort of time. I'm not sure what the figures will be. Hopefully they'll be good. Again, like the Eubank and the Kell Brook figures. Eubank was a million, our biggest audience for I think ever on Sky Sports with Sky Showcase, and then we had north of 500,000 for the buys for Calm Brook, which was fantastic. And now hopefully we'll have a huge audience, and certainly there'll be a few more watching the rerun of it to see it again. I think so. It's great, and we can't always be in the sun. We're going to have some little bit of downtime. We've got a couple of Top Rank shows coming up, which is good. Some global action, and then we go back to London and then Newcastle for the next 2 fight nights. And looking forward to those. But the atmosphere is very special tonight. Wonderful occasion, and I can't wait to come back.
Brilliant. Adam Smith, thank you.
Cheers.